I wanted to say one quick thing about teaching it, especially for white educators, which is not to over-center Grappi. I'm not saying omit him or leave him out of the narrative, but growing up in Milwaukee, the only thing I ever heard about was Grappi, maybe a little bit of Vel, and it's important to acknowledge just how, I mean, not just how central the youth council and the commandos were, and as the predominant authors of the story. I think, and that's something that, frankly, I think for the last 50 years, you do get your woke white history teachers that want to talk about this, but they want to overcenter Grappi. And I think a young person's going to turn off, or I know they turn off when they see the images, hear about Grappi, but no one else. As
Right.
Charlotte, as you pointed out in that first image, like
Yeah.
there's a ton of black people in that image. If all you're seeing is Grappi, I don't think you're seeing the whole picture.
Right.
To our attendees, everybody, you got the opportunity to share with folks here if you'd like. So please, if you have any comments or if you have any thoughts, you're unmuted, and you can jump in as needed. We are all Zoom savvy these days, so we know how this works. If anybody wants to share some thoughts before we have to let our panelists get out of here, please do. Jump right in if you'd like.
Okay, this is Jacqueline Boyd. Hi.
Hey, Ms. Boyd, how are you?
I'm good. Hi, Dr. Smith. So I was thinking about an ethnic community get together and how we would go about doing that, because I know at least the area where I live is Merrill Park, like Juneau, 30th and Juneau area. And there's a lot of ethnic groups around here. And I know it's a lot of different, like the immigrants that come here from Africa. It's a new city that a lot of immigrants are coming from. I used to greet them at the airport when I worked there in operations, and they would come over here to a church. I believe it's on 60th and Holly Road is where they house them. But they have a big ethnic get together every year. I know it's in the summer. I would have to find out when it is, but that would be a start, I think, to get ethnic groups together and then just have one big sea of, I don't know, ethnicity, food, and getting to know each other. And
well, we don't lack for any festivals. we might
Right.
well,
Right.
we only got 3 or 4 months of sunshine.
right.
I mean, there is a point even to the structure of those festivals, because those are one at a time, which is a little different than I think was just being proposed. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are kind of bound, not that folks aren't invited to partake in a culture that's not specifically their own indigenous culture, but I think there's a slightly different point there, which is like, it's like, come to our place, but how do you create a shared home turf?
Right. Particularly around some rights-based issues that cross us all. And this is where questions around human rights and whatnot are still so pivotal, because there's some basic human rights issues that we all are experiencing abuses, particularly with our current administration in DC, and then obviously our legislature. We've all experienced some of the racial hatred that we need to think about how it crosses us. Any other attendees want to jump in?
I have something from last week that I thought was a really interesting comment that one of our panelists said that I want to get current week's panelist view on. Is that the marches, when we look at historically how long they went on, specifically Milwaukee, of marching for 200 straight nights, that's a long time. And what our panelists from last week said is that there was a commitment, not just based on.
Keisha's
it's so easy.
Keisha, you're breaking up. Just so you know.
Better now?
A little bit. Or not? No.
I want to share real quick one thing we were talking about doing this. We didn't get to it, but the memes that were referenced. That's like the worst one. Sorry for starting with that one. In the process of thinking about how to rescript this story in the imagination of our city, and particularly reach young people, Dasha Kelly helped us dream up this event, which is we asked people
That's good.
in actually attendance to some of these presentations to start captioning these
Yes.
images and respond to them emotionally, and not just because a lot of Rob says history is fun, and I didn't grow up history being that way. But I think but if this was the story, I think it would be. So I guess these are just some images. Some of them made, but like a really wide variety of people. Like some of these were Mount Mary students, actually. Like this might have been a nun that made this one. But we had, a pretty wide variety of people making these, and this is one of the ways we're kind of want to trick some of. It's a really good point you make. Again, to come back to that point you made, Charlene, of like, can you wield pop culture? Can you kind of make what young people are already doing a means of telling this story? This is my favorite one. Like, walk softly, carry a big purse. Like,
that is a big purse. That is a huge purse, right?
I love it.
She's got to be ready for everything in that common council.
That's
so.
right.
That's it.
No.
Right.
I'm sure there's, and I like this one a lot too, because there were different fires, one set by the KKK and one purportedly to be by accident by the police. I think this gets to just the fact that just who's armed in this image, right? And like,
right,
very similar to what we've been seeing in the news. Like, this is also very strong.
not if you fuck.
So
Adam, my feelings are gonna be hurt if you don't show my contribution. You know that, right?
I gotta track that down. I don't know where it is, Rob.
Okay, all right.
I don't know if Wu-Tang's relevant with kids.
It's not. The Wu-Tang is for the children. That's what ODB said.
Rob made a Wu-Tang themed one, and the kids are like, "What's that?"
Oh man.
That's all right. That's
actually
I'm
a good
from the
idea.
90s. I still wear cargo shorts and Timberlands.
We're gonna have to add that concept. We're gonna have to see how we could weave that in this summer, Adam. That's not a bad idea.
We're doing it, Charlene. You just committed to it.
Oh, okay, perfect. Thank you.
We've got 2 more minutes, and then we want to let these wonderful women get back to their work because we need them at work. Any other thoughts? Any other comments from our attendees before we end our conversation today?
Yeah.
I'm back again.
Hi. So this is Lisa with Curto. I was wondering, we've talked a lot about youth participation and youth mobilization. How would you recommend getting the youth involved in everyone's lives to mobilize, or sort of feel, I guess, how can we encourage them to get involved? And where should we direct them?
If I can jump in. I was part of an organizing class last semester, and we kind of talked about what Saul Alinsky calls cold anger. And it's like finding out like what you're angry about, like what are you angry about in your community, and then tapping into that anger that like a young person has or a person has, and using that to not like sit on it and just be angry and just be like, okay, these are all the things that are wrong in my community, but using that to drive towards fixing that and moving that into some solution based. So asking young people or the young people what is affecting you in your community, and how can you be part of the change, right? Because sometimes it's just like, this is the change that is happening, hop on board to this change, versus a young person really being able to connect with that change. Like, a lot of young people are not trying to fight all the same battles. Yes, they don't care for school lunches, but everybody's not gonna want to jump on board to that fight. So being able to really tap into their self-interest and use that to navigate to where they want to go. Because a lot of organizations are just fighting that one fight, when Saul Alinsky and other organizers talked about multiple fights happening at the same time, so that energy can be moved in different ways. but using those multiple organizations or organized movements to bridge that organized people, organized power
And you know, Amanda,
notion.
that requires the educators, myself included, to not be fearful of frustration and anger, and in some cases, rage.
That's it.
Yep.
We have to
Yep.
be very, very comfortable with that. Those feelings can very easily be turned into positive action if we don't run from them. You know, if we're not afraid of that, because it does disrupt what is a very hierarchical experience in the classroom. I think Camille talked about learning from young people, and others may have said it as well. But the thing that we have to do is democratize the classroom.
Yes.
You know, the classroom cannot be a place where there's one voice who imparts information and then the kids are supposed to absorb it. We are all responsible for the learning environment. Every single one of us. Because I tell you, I've never taught a class. I have yet to have a class where a young person didn't say something that I had never heard before. They will say things and I'll be like, whoa, that's heavy.
I mean, that's important to note in the history of the marches too, which is the young people of the youth council, NAACP Youth Council, were pushing the adults of the NAACP. I mean, they were saying, whoa, slow down. And the youth council was, they were, Rob, you say this sometimes, they're the ones foolish enough to think that they should be, encountering this incredible resistance and keep going.
Yeah. Well, ladies, let us get you off of the phone or off of the Zoom call. Thank you so very much. We really, really appreciate you. This was exactly how we imagined wrapping up this month of discussions about the open housing marches, and you all knocked it out of the park as you always.
For the battery, and then
Thank you.
I
Thank you
said
so
in
much
the
for the
intro-
invite.
I said in
Appreciate
the
you all.
intro,
Thanks.
I said in the intro, this is the one I was most looking forward to, and you guys validated. Thank
Hey,
you so
that's
much.
I know.
All right.
thanks,
Okay, folks, we're
Adam.
going to
All
end
right.
now. So thank you,
Okay.
attendees. All righty, take
All
care.
right.
We appreciate you.
Bye.
Alrighty. Bye.
Bye-bye.